For me, because of my heritage and my family background, that was something that sparked instant attraction. Just that the title was originally Afghan Dreamers. That was the working title we had. And so seeing Afghan in the title blew my mind. Then finding out that it's a movie about the team that my family had actually heard about and were rooting for in 2016, 2017 era. And then having a film that's being told about women from the region colorfully portraying Afghanistan, showcasing their resiliency, showcasing empowerment and strength and intellect. I think that's really what drew me to the project, and that's what I admire to this day about the project.
What drew me to the project? Being a role like Roya doesn't come around very often. I would say in my career, I've been doing this for maybe 15 years, and I can count on one hand, and that hand is not felt, of roles and stories like this that are also specific to um, my background as well and where I come from. I think this is a film that defies so many expectations and stereotypes um, of the region, of women, of young people, of people in STEM and technology and robotics. We get to learn so much about so many different people. And I also love the idea that like it completely flips on its head what a rebel looks like. Like we don't normally think of Afghan school kids as like the, rule breakers and rebels, or even Afghan dreamers. And um, I think it's just such an amazing, beautiful opportunity. And then to play a real person who's doing so many exciting things, who's so inspirational, and that was a challenge and opportunity that I was really nervous and excited about, and also the opportunity to work with an amazing director like Bill. I mean, you could speak to his resume and what he's achieved already, but he's also just an incredible person and very, very uh, curious about people, about putting positive messages out in the world, about telling stories that are aspirational and inspirational. And it was really obvious for me from like our first conversation that he's committed to creating like this a very nurturing environment for people to collaborate and tell the best story that they can. And that was like a really exciting opportunity for me. I will say that, Afghan Dreamers, and then you see that the director is Bill Gutentag.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh.
oh, oh,
It does raise some questions. It raises some questions.
yes, and some concerns.
Yeah.
And it did not take long. I mean, like I said, within the first few minutes of speaking with Bill, I felt completely at ease and so relieved to know that and excited to know that Roya and Alaha, Roya's sister, were involved in the project. They were executive producing, and Alaha had co-written the script with Bill. They were advisors on the project, on all things STEM, on all things Afghanistan, and they were behind Bill in this story. So, yeah, any concerns that I had in that regard were really put to rest very quickly after speaking with Bill.
Yeah. And I think for me, a lot of the one-on-one meetings, after meeting with Bill, we also had one-on-one meetings and group sessions where we discussed the script and we discussed the storyline. And he would even ask me questions just because of my background on what would feel authentic and inauthentic. And I appreciated that. And it really spoke to how much he valued authenticity and how curious he is about the culture and about portraying this accurately and about the storytelling aspect of it. And having those one-on-one meetings and talking about my character with him was really helpful in understanding her struggle and her character arc and why she says the things that she says sometimes, because he was one of the writers. He had a very clear intention when writing it. So it was really nice to be able to speak with him and talk with him more in depth about the script and about what his vision was. For me, I have to say my mom, first and foremost. My mom is talk about a strong Afghan woman. She is such a force to be reckoned with. She's so powerful. She values education so much so that she even went back to school, and pursued her bachelor's and her master's, and she's so incredibly talented and smart. But I think the mentors in my life would have to be some of the student groups that I did that were not very unsimilar to the robotics competitions. One was called Future Business Leaders of America. Yeah, it was super similar, like the hype and the camaraderie between teams and competing. One of my mentors, his name was Mr. Lara, and he was so inspirational for me. He really pushed me to go after things that I thought maybe I wasn't qualified for, or maybe I wasn't the right fit for. He's the one who motivated me to do that. In a similar group, student government, there's a Miss Joe Hungry, and she was half Afghan. And I had never had anyone in the education world, like in my schooling, who was Afghan. So she was the first one, and she was my student government leader, advisor, and she was wonderful to work with. She always encouraged me. It was great. Those are my mentors. Yeah.
Amazing. I had my acting teacher in high school, Mr. Richard Dixon. He was this incredible theater teacher, and we had such a unique experience where he would write plays for each class, like specifically for the class. You would do 4 plays a season, and so he would write a role specifically for you, and based on what he thought you needed to do, and where he felt you needed to grow. And so by the time I graduated high school, I'd done like 30 plays, and he completely changed the trajectory of my life. I think the first day that I showed up to Drama 9, I showed up like 45 minutes late, and I had taken it because I thought it would be an easy class, and I didn't really believe in myself a whole lot. And he did, and he really challenged me, and he did that by giving me big parts that I couldn't be 45 minutes late to class for anymore, and by doing that completely changed my life, really. So teachers and mentors, they play such a big role in young people's lives, and they don't get enough credit. So shout out to Mr. Dixon.
I think it's an important film because it does touch on a lot of topics that we don't often see in Hollywood, portrayed in Hollywood. It touches on STEM, touches on breaking stereotypes of who is involved in STEM. It touches on breaking stereotypes of Afghan women, of the culture, and it is a more hopeful and inspiring film that I think the world needs more of, always. Like, we will always need to see powerful, impactful people and their stories on the screen. I think that's how change happens. That's how awareness happens. And so I think this film is really unique and impactful in that sense.
I agree. And I think that, with world events, and we have so much access to information about world events, it can sometimes feel like the world is a very dark place. It can be easy to get despondent or hopeless about the future. And I think that stories like this, especially one that's so current and relevant and didn't happen that long ago, are really important because they are optimistic, and they especially when it's in regards to connecting the youth and robotics, STEM, which is the future. They remind you that there's a lot of good that's also happening in the world, and that we have to nurture our youth because they are the future, and that the future can be bright.
I think that if girls, anyone, if young people walk away from that film feeling inspired to pursue a career in STEM, because STEM is the future, I think that would feel incredible, and that would feel like the film was impactful and it made a difference. And I hope from this film we see more stories out of that region about women out of that region, and that are told on the big screen, and that are told that might not be the most conventional type of stories, but that do evoke hope and inspire people to make change. And I hope that that's what audiences leave.
I think too, I want studios and people to be reminded that people will go out to see stories in the movie theaters uh, about people that they might not know anything about. And that's the magic and beauty of storytelling, is that they'll leave the theaters feeling closer to those people, and the world feels like a more connected and harmonious and smaller place in a good way.
Love that.